listening to Reality Rap. I'm your host, Melanie. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Reality Rap. I have Mr. Sean with me here today.
Hey everyone, I want to wish you all a happy belated Pioneer Day.
That's right. We missed recapping last week's episode because we had company over for Thanksgiving.
A lot of fun, a lot of spades, a lot of cards.
Yes, a lot of cheese and a lot of pie and a lot of no sleep.
And now I have a lot of ass.
I think I put on like 3 pounds.
No, shut up. I put on 7. I hate you.
It's back to salad and cauliflower rice for me all week, so yeah.
No, I don't hate me. I'm not eating that.
Anyway, we are here today to recap last night's episode of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 4, Episode 12, which really seemed to be a tough episode for Lisa.
Yeah. Well, I saw last week's episode. It initially seemed like she started in on Monica when they were doing it.
The wagon thing?
The game.
Who would you kick off the wagon?
It's just the way she did it. She could have just said, I'm going to kick Monica off, give her a smile. It was the things she said before kicking her off.
Yeah, she definitely, I think, initiated Monica's response. She could have just said, like you said, I would kick Monica off the wagon. But instead she said, like, you're terrible to women or whatever.
Whatever she said.
Yeah.
But then, as usual, Monica, her counterpunch was nuclear, right? And that's the problem is, a lot of times when you just swat at someone, just swat back. There's no need to bring out knives, guns, and machetes for every battle. I mean, what'd you think? I thought she went a little too far.
I mean, yeah. I mean, at this point.
She's kind of known for it at this point.
Yeah, exactly. But what was even weirder was Angie's response by throwing her jar of butter that they were making and screaming "Oopa!" I was like, what the fuck was that? Anyway, so this episode starts over at Angie's house and Heather comes over and they're talking about the Pioneer Day and how it went bad once Lisa said she would kick Monica off the wagon because she's nasty to women.
But wasn't she nasty to women right after she said that? Help me out here with this one, boss.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, she tends to go pretty low, and I think also the fact that she's nasty to women by saying Lisa looked old or wrinkly or whatever when she was bagging on how old she looked. Like, that's kind of a nasty thing for a woman to say to another woman, because at some point all of us are going to be wrinkly, right? Or look older.
Oh, you ladies are vicious.
Yeah, we are. We really are. I mean, I'm
can be.
But
can be
yeah.
vicious.
So Heather tells us that Monica is unpredictable and you never know what you're going to get, and she kind of reminds her of Jen Shaw. And I'm like, Heather, that's a bit of a stretch. I personally didn't like watching Jen. I thought she was way too over the top. While Monica's over the top, like, Jen was like psycho over the top. And she was a fucking criminal. And you know what, Heather? You were up her ass and stood by her when all these allegations came out about her ripping off old people. So for you now to suddenly be like, oh, she kind of reminds me of Jen. I'm like, okay, Heather, you had me at the beginning of this season, but now I'm kind of like, well, wait, what the fuck?
So I think with Heather, yeah, I definitely felt differently about her in the beginning of the season. I don't feel negatively about her now.
No, but
I'm like, I was kind of thinking, okay, if I really squint, I guess I can see Monica leaning in that direction, right? She's a little manic, but I have to squint to do it. And I wrote that. Monica is a little manic. And here's the thing with Heather. We've said this before. Heather seems to crave acceptance. Mm-hmm. Yet she's rejecting the acceptance of Monica. That's what I'm noticing, at least. Maybe.
Kind of. I mean, I don't say she's rejecting it. Now she's kind of saying she's leery of Monica.
Or alarms are going off.
Yeah, but again, and she says it's because of the lessons she learned with being friends with Jen Shaw, but at the same time, I'm like, well, come on. Everybody else knew what Jen Shaw was doing was wrong, and you were like, I'm a ride or die, and now you come into this season acting like you were some sort of a victim, and now you're kind of taking that victimhood and you're applying it to Monica, and that's where I kind of don't like it. Granted, yes, Monica goes a little bit crazy sometimes, but then she realizes, oh my God, I overstepped. I shouldn't have done that. And I also feel like maybe I give her a little grace because clearly she was raised by a crazy person. So, I mean, that does affect you. Anyway, Angie tells Heather that she should talk to Monica before they go on the trip. We're now with Justin and Whitney, and they are driving in the car home from therapy, and they're talking about how it went. And for some reason, they're wearing matching Gucci shirts. So It kind of seems like something weird to wear to a therapy appointment. Could you imagine being the therapist and these two come rolling in and they're wearing matching shirts?
I'm probably thinking they has clients forever.
Because they're clearly having issues because they're wearing matching shirts.
Something's wrong, yes.
It was definitely odd. Anyway, so Whitney feels like the therapist shut her down while she was talking. I can't remember what it was. It was something kind of trivial. I was like, he's not really shutting her down. But anyway, she thinks he's stirring the pot. And Justin's like, I actually feel like talking to other couples is more helpful, like with Meredith and Seth. I was like, of all the couples to talk to, those two.
Justin just making those life decisions one after another. No, I thought that was odd too.
Yeah.
Don't they fight a lot, actually?
Well, they had a lot.
They
Yeah,
have
they
history?
did. They were like in really a bad place when this show first started.
Well, maybe they figured it out.
Well, it sounds like it because they're fine now today. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, then suddenly...
Yeah, I kind of like Seth, actually. I don't know. I mean, he's not on the show a lot, but he seems pretty okay, you know?
Yeah.
Not...
He's weird. I find him to be rather odd. But so is Meredith, so...
I kind of think they're good together.
Oh, they are
actually.
good together.
Yeah, I actually... So, like, when they do the podcast, I've actually thought about listening to their podcast.
Oh, not me.
No, just a little bit for some research, that kind of thing. But
yeah.
They're an interesting couple. I'll say that.
For sure. Yeah, I agree. So while they're driving, Whitney receives a text and she says that she just found out that her friend is going to be intubated because she's been fighting cancer. And Whitney is worried that Sherry isn't going to make it much longer. And I guess Sherry knows that the end is coming. Whitney says, you know, it makes our problem seem so trivial when someone is facing cancer, which it does. It does kind of put in perspective, like...
That was an interesting moment in the car.
Yeah.
It went from kind of silly to, oh man, I really felt bad for Whitney. And her friend, obviously, but I felt bad for Whitney because that's who I'm connected to.
Yeah, and they both determined that they're both still willing to fight for their marriage. So they know that, like, all is not lost, that they're going to be okay.
Yeah, and they've been together for 12 years. I mean, that's it's like a mid-period.
Has it been 12 years?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that what they said?
I think so, yeah.
We now get Lisa and Meredith meeting up for lunch, and they arrive.
Meredith walks in, and she talks to the maitre d', and she's like, I'm here for my... lunch, and I'm waiting for someone, and it flashes as she's talking on Lisa's face, which is completely covered by what appeared to be a red mask. It was so quick.
I didn't notice.
I couldn't even see it. So then the maitre d' goes, oh, are you looking for the woman in red? And that's when you realize that not only was Lisa wearing a red mask, but she was wearing a matching red outfit.
I didn't notice the glasses at all. So it was big red glasses?
Like a mask, like a shield, like a face shield, all the way, like at least down below her cheekbones.
I'll have to go back and look.
Big,
that's so funny.
Big Elton John sunglasses.
So they're talking about Meredith's jewelry event that she's having, and then Meredith asks about how Lisa and Monica are doing, and Lisa's like, you know, it's really hard with her because she keeps attacking me.
All right, wait a minute. I got a question.
What?
What do you think she was drinking in that cup she handed the waiter?
I don't know, but it was weird that Lisa asked her what she was drinking, and then she was like, oh, well, I get cramps or something, so why didn't she just say I was drinking water? Or
I don't know. I didn't know vodka was good for cramps.
Yeah.
She
never did say what was in the cup.
Yeah, and that's why I thought vodka.
Unless it was edited out. I don't know. You think she's a drinker? I think she's a pill popper.
She's a something. I know that. There's something going on there. Sober people don't act and talk like that most of the time.
Yeah. So Meredith tells Lisa that she needs to clear the air with Monica. And then Meredith asks Lisa if she told Angie that Meredith threatened Angie. And Lisa's like, no, I didn't say that. I told her what you said about her outside the restaurant. And then we see the clip of, you know, you want to go there with her husband? Meredith's like, yeah, that's what I thought because the wording seemed off. Lisa then says that she didn't like what Meredith said about knowing something about Angie's husband and that it was icky and that she doesn't want to be around that anymore. Meredith's like, you know, this bothers me in her talking head because Lisa and I were supposed to let each other know when we had issues as they came up. And she's not doing what we had agreed to do. And then Meredith tells Lisa, you know, this conversation is kind of hypocritical because I was just reacting to Angie's bad behavior, just like you were reacting to Monica's bad behavior.
It's true.
Meredith then says that there's stuff out there about everybody, but just because there's stuff out there, it doesn't make it true. Which I was like, that seemed hypocritical to me, because if Meredith's saying like, oh, I heard this information about Sean, Angie's husband. Oh, and I saw stuff. But then she turns around and says there's stuff about everybody out there that doesn't make it true. Then couldn't you take that same logic and apply it to Angie's husband? That the stuff that she heard about Angie's husband being gay, that is probably not true. So I was kind of like, well, wait a minute, Meredith. That kind of seemed double-sided to me.
A lot of convenience. I'm going to apply this ideology or this opinion as it suits me.
Yeah.
And I think, it's very selective.
Yeah.
And I think, but with Meredith, for me, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that's kind of who she was, right? I've always felt a little double speak from Meredith. It's Lisa. This season, she does seem to be talking out both sides of her mouth, and it's like people are calling her out for it now.
Well, I mean, really a lot of housewives are like that, but yeah, I agree. Lisa then brings up how Whitney said that Meredith said she could ruin Angie's life. And Meredith then says, well, I could ruin anybody's life. And so could anybody else. But it doesn't mean I'm going to. And Lisa looked a little uncomfortable here. When I rewatched this part, I was like, is she like kind of telling Lisa, I know I could ruin your life, but just because I know information doesn't mean I'm going to? Because Lisa looked really uncomfortable in this conversation. And I was like, huh.
See, I didn't pick up on that.
It could have been just me over analyzing it, but I was just like, what is Meredith implying here? Lisa then tells Meredith that after Palms, she kind of pumped the brakes with their friendship with Meredith because of the way Meredith treated Angie. Meredith then says, well, did you pump the brakes with Angie as well? Because Angie treated me way worse. And I was like, okay, she's got a point there.
She had a real good point.
Yeah. So Lisa then tells her that she's not going to get in the middle of her and Angie.
Well, we're not in the middle of her and Angie. We're in the middle of how you treat one differently than the other.
Right, exactly. And then Meredith tells her, I'm not the one who's bringing in the tornado, and karma always comes back.
What did that mean?
I don't know. I don't know if she was
like, is she drunk? Was there vodka in that cup?
Did she order a vodka? No, what did she order to drink? I don't know.
More vodka?
I don't know, but I was like...
I think that's what gave it away with what was in the white cup.
The way she says things, like if that were me sitting there, I'd be like, is she directing that at me? Or is she directing it at Andy? I'm just saying, if I was sitting there... As an example, the way she said things, I'm not the tornado that's coming through, and karma always comes back.
I thought she simply detached from reality for like 5 seconds. I was like, whoa, she's rebooting right in front of us.
I'm like,
it seemed out of place.
It did, and I'm like, is she talking about Angie? Is she implying something to Lisa?
So I have to ask you something.
Who is she talking about?
Was there something in between that we missed? Have the producers possibly once again edited funny and we're like, wait, what the hell is this? Or... is Meredith does she just reboot in the middle of lunch with like something that she would say as a talking head, but she said it at lunch to Lisa about Lisa?
I don't think she's rebooting. I think she's like kind of sending a message. Like,
I'm crazy.
She's either sending it to Lisa or she's talking about Angie. I'm just telling you. Anyway.
Oh my gosh.
We're off track. Anyway, we're now over at Mary's house, and Monica comes over to Mary's house, and Mary serves Monica Sean's favorite cake. I was like, carrot cake. Did Mary win you over there?
That house is atrocious. But
it's so mishmashed together.
I want to go in it just because it does feel like, a fun house. But, man, that carrot cake looked good. Mm-hmm. With the nuts and the carrot strip. Oh.
What I thought was funny, too, is how, like, literally, how many episodes ago she was kind of, like, implying that Monica shouldn't be eating what she eats, and then she serves her cake. I was like,
And then asked her how it tastes, like interrupted her to, how does he like
how do you like the cake, fatty?
No, I didn't get that at all, actually.
No.
Mary is a very smart woman, but she's crazy.
Yeah, Mary is definitely a different bird. Anyway, Mary tells Monica that she's been trying to protect her sanity and trying not to lose her mind on people like she did. And then we see all the clips of her being shitty to everybody. And I was like, wow. So did Mary like have a little bit of self-reflection there? Monica tells her that is where she is at and that Lisa is relentless. And Mary's like, I kind of feel like it's both of you and Lisa. You guys both go back and forth. And Monica's like, I agree. But I feel like Lisa gets nasty, which I'm like, okay. Yeah, Lisa gets nasty, but
what?
So do you, Monica.
Yeah, Lisa starts off at like a volume 1.
Yeah.
And then Monica responds with volume 11.
And then Lisa keeps going. So
Yeah,
I'm kind of like, well, I understand what Mary's saying. Like, it's both of you.
Monica, you're having a great rookie season, but you're going to lose points on that.
Mary tells her that she has to take Lisa for what she is, and Monica shouldn't hold a grudge. And Monica's like, yeah, I need to apologize to Lisa and move on, but she is wrinkly. I was like, oh my God, you bitch. I can't believe she says that. We are now with Whitney, and she is driving, and Angie calls her to give her condolences about her friend who has now passed away. Angie asks her if she's planning on going to Meredith's event, and Whitney's like, Sherry was the type of person who would want me to go. And Sherry was actually at her Prism event a week before she died. And then we see clips of them, and I'm like, my God, she looked like this beautiful, vivacious woman. To go from that and a week later to no longer being with us. I'm like, wow, cancer fucking sucks. I mean, it's bad. It's and terrible. She was young. It's sad.
Yeah, it was terrible. I really felt for her and her
did she have young kids? My guess is she probably had kids and a husband, and I was like, man. Whitney says if she can show up to my event while she was fighting cancer, I can certainly show up for Meredith's event. We're now with Lisa, Jack, and John, and they are going shop for Jack's mission wear, and there's actually like a store that's catered to mission clothing or Mormon clothing. And I had to laugh because Lisa tries to pick out a teal suit for Jack to do the door-to-door knocking, and I'm like,
she was less than useless in that process. I have to ask,
she wanted it to be chic.
Do you think she's that ignorant, or do you think she was playing? Because I'm not Mormon, and I knew what kind of outfit that young gentleman had to wear, and that's because of simply all the Mormons I do know, right? And so I think she was playing.
I think Lisa likes to really drive home the fact that she's fashionable and she's about fashion, which we all know. So, I don't know.
I think it could be a little from column A, a little from column B on that.
Yeah, I like the way the salesman kind of steers her away from that. He's like, well, that's more for like if you're going to prom. Missionaries stick to more conservative clothing. And then Jack makes a comment, I really should have just come with my dad. I was like,
yeah, but
Jack.
Then everything kind of mellowed, and I'll say I at least saw this week she was very loved, very, very.
Oh
loved.
Yeah, for sure.
It was nice to see that, and I know like you do get that from her.
Yeah.
But she really loves her kids. It's good to see. I just like watching.
She has a lot of thoughts, and you know what, Mom doesn't. She has a lot of thoughts about how she thinks Jack should do things, wear things, plan things, whatever. Which really, I mean, my kids could probably say the same thing about me. I mean, not to that extreme, but anyway, Jack says, I really love you, Mom, but I need some space from you. And this will be the perfect way to get the space. And I think going to a poor country for 2 years and seeing how, other people live and coming back will really make me appreciate what I have, which I'm like, that's respect, Jack.
Yeah, agreed. He's a good kid. I like him a lot.
Yeah. Lisa tells us in her talking head that she's super proud of Jack because he's going to be serving people from the time he gets up to the time he goes to bed. And then John tries to make a bet with Jack on how long it will take for Lisa to stop crying after he leaves. John thinks it's going to be at least a week, and Jack and Lisa both say it's going to be until I come back. So I totally get it. I think I would probably be the same way too if my kid was out of the country for 2 years straight and I wasn't going to see them. I could talk them on the phone, but
2 years is a long time.
Yeah, without seeing your kid. We now get Heather and Monica, and they meet up for a drink at a restaurant before Meredith's event. And I'm like, man, they sure are doing a lot of restaurant work this season. Like, I feel like half of the season has been filmed in a restaurant or a bar with them meeting up for drinks or eating. Or outside, or they're like tailgating or whatever. Heather asks Monica if she still is going to go to Bermuda, and Monica's like, yeah, I don't think so. She jokes, but then she's like, yeah, no, I'm definitely going.
Did you notice that from the last scene we saw Monica till the next scene that we saw Monica with Heather, she looked different?
She's considerably smaller.
Oh, is that what it was?
I think so. Yeah, it was weird. It was like she lost 10 pounds all of a sudden.
At least.
So Heather tells Monica she felt really bad for her after the Pioneer luncheon because Monica seemed so down. Heather's like, you can really dish it out, but you need to be able to take it. And Monica's like, I'm really sorry. I feel like I let you down. And then Heather tells us in her talking head that Monica has a dark side and she can't help but be leery of her. And I was like, okay, Heather. I mean,
Heather, here's the thing about Heather. If you understand Monica is not necessarily a normal person, how can you expect to have a normal friendship, right? And so you're going to have to deal with that dark side, right?
To me, though, okay, the way Monica blows up and kind of goes low is one way. Having a dark side to me would be like Jen Shaw, where she's ripping off people, old people. Okay. That to me is a dark side, not like, okay, being overreactive and,
because she did compare
being an asshole
to Jen Shaw, and now she has a dark side. No, I don't agree with that.
No. A dark side? No. Can she be an asshole? Yes, but she's not dark.
No. Did Jen Shaw ever apologize like this profusely and then try? I mean, we'll see if she tries to, behave for a while, but I don't remember Jen Shaw apologizing to anyone ever.
I think she did, but it doesn't matter because everything Jen Shaw did was a fucking lie. I mean, she said she was innocent all the way up until the end. She didn't get put in prison because she's innocent for 8 years, I mean, come on. It's now time for Meredith's plated jewelry, and I guess it's going to be affordable for people who can't afford high-end jewelry. Everybody starts to arrive. Whitney arrives, and she tells Meredith about her friend Sherry passing away, but she still wanted to come and show support for Meredith, and Meredith gives her a hug and, cries with her, and then Monica and Heather both come in and they give Whitney a hug and they're consoling her. And then we see Lisa come in and she goes right over to Heather, who's standing with Whitney, and hands Heather a gift and kind of acts like Whitney's not there. It wasn't that she acted like she wasn't there. She didn't acknowledge her. She was looking at Whitney while she was talking. It wasn't like she completely, acted like she wasn't there, but she didn't say hello and acknowledge her and hug her like everybody else did.
I think she's emotionally awkward.
I
think she has a low emotional quotient. Her EQ, not IQ, the EQ, is low on her, and that's typical with smart type A people, and that's what she is. And I think that she doesn't deal well in those situations, right? And so I sent the flowers. She checks boxes.
Yeah.
But I think when an emotional moment has to happen, I think she struggles, and a lot of people do.
Well, she definitely could have given Whitney a hug. I mean, I don't know if she saw everybody else hugging Whitney, but I kind of feel like at least give her a hug. Even if you don't know how to react in a situation like that, I feel like a hug would be the proper thing to do.
If the hug would come naturally to you, then I don't think you would have to or should have to see anyone hug her. You just hug.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's your point, actually. I don't think that comes naturally to her.
Yeah. So Meredith gets up and she's talking about her jewelry. And interesting enough, Monica and Lisa are standing next to each other, but this time they managed to keep quiet. And so they start looking at jewelry, which from the pieces I saw, I was kind of like, eh. And then I did see one of the price tags. She said the price was ranged from $50 to $500, but one of the price tags was like $2,500. So maybe she had her high-end jewelry there as well, which seemed dumb if you're going to be showcasing your cheaper or your affordable.
And if you're going to spend $500, even $500, forget $25, let's just say $500. I'd rather just get you real jewelry at that.
Yeah, I mean, you can get
just as earrings. I buy jewelry all the time for other people. For $500,
for all your whores.
Oh yeah, my many whores. No, but it's seriously $500.
You could get like a cute pair of earrings, or
it's
like
a
bracelet.
Piece of jewelry,
Right.
So what? It's
but I feel like it would. I don't know. You know what? I don't want to judge. Anyway, so Monica and Whitney are looking at jewelry, and Lisa comes over. And she starts talking to them, and Whitney's just like, I can't with her right now. So she leaves because she's irritated, and I'm like, okay. Monica tells Lisa she wants to talk to her, and essentially she apologizes. She's like, I know I fight dirty, and I own my part in our fight, and, I was so excited when we first met, and we had lunch, and then after Palm Springs, everything just kind of went downhill. And she's like, I really do admire and respect you. And she essentially starts kissing Lisa's ass. And Lisa's like, oh my God, you're so good at apologizing. And I was like, of course you would love it, Lisa, because she's basically talking about how great you are.
Lisa's going to end up on the villain show. I keep saying that.
So Lisa tells Monica that Jack is going to go to Colombia for his mission, and this makes Monica kind of start to tear up because her dad is Colombian, and because her mom destroyed everything from her, about her father. That part of her life is missing, and she's like, oh my God, I can't believe you're going there, or Jack's going there. And so they seem to make up, and so far they're good. Obviously now we know they're not good, because I think the only one she's good with is Meredith. But
yeah.
Lisa then finds Whitney and is like, hey, can I talk to you a minute? And she's like, okay. And so she's telling Whitney about how she had lunch with Meredith, and she didn't really like the way it went. She didn't like the vibe of the lunch, but at the end of the lunch, she thought that they were okay. And Whitney's like, my friend just died, and I really don't have the capacity to talk about this right now. And Lisa's like, oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to be insensitive. And Whitney was getting ready to say, you know what? All I really wanted was a hug or whatever, but Monica comes over and interrupts them. And she's like, hey, can I talk to you guys for like 5 minutes? And they're like, okay. And Lisa follows her. And Lisa says to Monica, I know this day is really hard for Whitney, and I don't know whether I should talk to her or not talk to her. So I'm going to play the other side for a moment, and we're going to go back to Lisa not really knowing how to respond to somebody who's going through grief. I was like, okay, so she does acknowledge, like, I don't really know what to say to her. We know that she's been texting her. We know that she sent her flowers, or we're going to find out that she sent her flowers. So yeah, maybe just this whole her awkwardness and not hugging her is because she just doesn't know what to do. So I'm going to give her that benefit of the doubt. But again, a hug goes a long way. So
for those of you at home, I'm nodding in agreement.
You can't hear the rocks shaking around in Sean's head, but they are.
They've been crushed to sand at this point.
Anyways, so the rest of the ladies come over, and Monica gives them all Bermuda rum and Portuguese pastries. I can't remember what the name of the pastries were. And she tells them that while they're in Bermuda, they're going to meet up with her family that's still over there. I guess, was it her grandparents that had moved there, or great-grandparents or something that had moved to Bermuda a long time ago and helped build Bermuda as to what it was today, or something like that. Anyway, so they all thank her.
That's really cool.
And they are like, we're super excited to go to Bermuda. We can't wait. So then everybody goes back to looking at jewelry. We see Whitney. She's also telling Brooks, I've never lost a friend before. And I'm like, I kind of feel like Whitney should have stayed home, like, from this event.
While I'm very impressed with her fortitude, is a lot to take in, right? Your best friend died.
Yeah,
the
day before.
Lots of people in our lives that we call best friends.
Yeah.
And so... yeah.
I feel like she's really just walking around being like, my friend died, my friend died, my friend died.
And maybe that's why she went, was she just needed a couple hours to not think about her friend.
It's not coming off well to me on camera, though. The fact that she's just walking around like...
I think she's a zombie, frankly. I think she's an emotional zombie. Yep. And I think she's trying to fill her day with anything and everything to get to the next day.
Yeah.
That, to me, seems more reasonable, because think about it. She didn't just go to the event. She came in like she was going to like the event, right? And
right, that's what I'm saying.
That had to take a long time for her to
sitting
get ready
there
for
in
it.
glam and all that.
And not thinking about her friend, right?
Yeah.
And making that day
everybody
go
handles
that much faster.
Everybody handles grief differently.
I think she just kept herself busy.
I did do a poll on Instagram, and I asked whether or not Whitney should have stayed home after losing her friend the day before. And so far, it's still running, but 56% say she should have stayed home, and 44% say that she should have gone out. Then I also asked, was Lisa being insensitive and self-absorbed to Whitney by not consoling her? And 93% said yes, and 7% said no.
To the 7%, I ask that you I politely ask you rewatch the episode.
I know. I will say I had to watch it twice, because that's what I do. I watch it, then I watch and take notes. And the second time, I really paid attention to what Lisa was saying. And that's when I caught her saying to Monica, I don't know what to say. I don't know whether I should talk to Whitney or I shouldn't talk to Whitney. I'd been texting her for days leading up to this. So obviously, while her friend was dying, she was talking to Lisa about, oh my God, my friend's, I'm assuming, my friend's going to die, blah, blah, blah. And then she said, my friend died, And at this point, I think Lisa just didn't know what to say. And I think at some point she even says this. I didn't want to do anything publicly that would upset her. I didn't know where she was at, like mentally, if she was super fragile or whatever. So anyways, Lisa asks Whitney if she's doing okay.
But doesn't that just play into more of Lisa not understanding the emotional vibrations of others?
Could be.
Right? That she's just completely
But not everybody
tone
has
deaf.
that.
I understand.
Doesn't
It
make
helps
her a
me
bad person.
No, but it helps. I think it should help us understand sometimes why she can be off-putting, because she doesn't get it.
Yeah, she doesn't have that emotional.
She doesn't have the radar.
Which could go also back to the way she talks about how much money she has.
I know it's an old TV show, but Sheldon Cooper was like from Big Bang Theory.
Yeah. But think about, too, the way she talks about her money and how Monica was like, you don't seem to understand, like...
And she doesn't. I don't think
not
she does.
everybody has your kind of money. Right. I mean, that does kind of tie back to it. So here we are. That's our armchair psychology for the day, guys.
You're welcome, world.
Anyway, so then we see Lisa go up and ask Whitney if she's doing okay.
Hey, Whitney, are you doing okay? No. I think dealing with death is difficult and you don't know how to approach it with people. I'm sorry you lost someone so important to you.
Like, it hurts when you walk up and go right past me and go straight to Heather with gifts like, oh my God, Heather, oh my God, I love you, here's these gifts. And then you look at me and you're like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm not. I need you to hug me. I need you to acknowledge that I lost my best friend.
Sorry about that, Whitney.
And then you look at me and you're like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I need you to acknowledge that I lost my best friend.
Sorry about that, Whitney. I can't always keep a mental calculator of everything going on for everyone at all times and in all moments.
I've been talking to you about it for the last 5 days, and bitch, I texted you last night. Does she need an abacus to keep track of that? It was less than 24 hours ago.
So it is pretty interesting that she was in communication with Lisa for 5 days. Like I said, obviously, while her friend was dying, she was talking to Lisa. And then when her friend died, she texted Lisa. I'm assuming my friend passed away. And that was when Lisa decided, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And she responded. And that's when she decided she was going to send her flowers, which we find out are on the way. Yeah. Had Lisa just come in and given her a hug? All of this could have been avoided.
I guess I'm confused by Lisa's apparent confusion as to what to do when your friend's in mourning. It's like we were talking before. It's like she has no EQ, and it's showing big time in this episode.
Yeah. So in her talking head, Lisa tells us that she sent flowers to Whitney that day and that she wasn't sure how Whitney was feeling, so she didn't want to do anything publicly that could upset her. Lisa then tells Whitney, there's flowers on the way to your house. And Whitney's like, I don't want flowers. I just want you. And then she and Lisa storm out into another room. And Whitney's like, everything is always about you. Can you just be there for me for 1 minute? And Lisa's like, what are you talking about? She starts freaking out. Whitney storms off and Lisa has a total meltdown and she's ripping her mic off. She was like, get me the fuck out of here. She didn't want a hot mic moment again. John comes in. He's like, what's going on? They try to put the mic back on her and she's like, no, you're not putting that back on me. And she was like, I can't believe this just happened, or whatever she said. And then her and John walk out and that's how the episode ends.
Poor John's always eternally confused. What's going on? What's happening? He's always like 7 seconds after the explosion, and he comes walking in the room. What happened?
I wonder if he ever gets sick of having to watch his wife get into these battles, because it does always seem to be her.
Yeah, it's and here's the big reveal.
What's your big reveal?
Lisa, I've enjoyed you for 4 seasons, and after this season, you're 11 episodes in, and you're 2 for 9, and you're still my favorite, but now you're my favorite villain. She is my favorite villain, and I still love you, Lisa.
She purposely is a villain, though. I think you're onto something with she doesn't have emotional. What did you call it?
Intelligence. An emotional quotient.
I was looking on Twitter, and it's interesting because Lisa did post on there that she did hug Whitney as soon as she saw her, and that Whitney said she didn't want to talk about it, and that in Bermuda, Whitney said Lisa actually checked on her too much. So I don't know if that was cut out of tonight's episode or it was someplace totally different.
I didn't see the hug, but
no.
It doesn't mean it didn't happen.
And Whitney even says to her, I just wanted a hug. You could have hugged me. And she didn't say, I did hug you. So maybe...
I wonder if Lisa... Because I noticed when she was with the producers in this episode, she was a little snappy. with.
Oh, when she was ripping off her mic?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Just my question to you is, if you torque off a producer and then they go into the editing room.
They can edit you however you want.
Exactly. And you're yelling at them and making them get things for you.
I don't think she's like that, but...
She's yelling at him.
Well,
Remember
that is
makeup?
the makeup, yeah.
She was yelling at the producers then.
Yeah.
And that's what, and they let us see it.
I mean,
So
this would be hard.
Is that the only time?
Yeah,
Or
I
are
don't
they
know.
just letting us a glimpse into the crazy?
Yeah. Anyways, that is all we have for this episode. Next week, they finally go to Bermuda. Thank God. So we've got to be getting close to the end of the season. They already recorded their reunion, and apparently it was crazy, is what they're saying. Is the rumors out there is that it was really crazy. So I am definitely looking forward to the reunion. And I'm looking forward to this Bermuda trip. This is where we get whatever phone call Heather gets, which I believe is about the lawsuit. All right, guys, that's all we have for you tonight. We'll be back tomorrow with our recap of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Talk to you then. Bye.
Happy Pioneer Day.